How's it going, guys? Just want to share with you guys my updated T-Rex build after the BoneBreak rework and Path of Titans has been out now for a little bit. I've had some people asking me, has my build changed? What abilities am I running? Subspecies, all that. Don't worry, I got you covered. We'll go over everything that I changed in my build, what I feel is the best build right now for T-Rex and Path of Titans, and I also cover a little bit about how Fracture and BoneBreak work now as opposed to how they did work, and also a little bit of my thoughts on it. But I do want to know from you guys, like, what do you guys think of the BoneBreak rework? Is it good? Is it bad? Has it balanced the game? Has it not? And most of all, is it good or bad for the Rex? And do you think the Rex is in a real bad spot or a really good spot now since this came out? So let me know what you think in the comments. And without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So we're going to start off as we always do and cover the subspecies. Now, in my opinion, the subspecies, what it provides to your dino is not terribly important, but if you want the upper edge, you want to go with the plus 3% attack damage. So I feel that this is the best subspecies to run for the T-Rex, so this is the Batara one. I think that it gives the best benefit to the T-Rex, and I think it's going to give you an edge in every fight that you ever take. So this is what I'm running on my build. You're not wrong if you want to go with the other two. You can still pull off some pretty good kills and fights and things like that. Don't get me wrong, but just to clear up a little bit about what some people's asked me, the Sanguis Rex plus 10% fracture damage. You got to remember that that's the damage on the attack that applies fracture. It's not fracture added. And if this was fracture added, it would actually, in my opinion, allow maybe for the T-Rex actually getting a full-on bone break on one single hit now since they've changed the bone break. But unfortunately, that's not how it works for the Sanguis Rex, in case you were wondering. Yeah, it's kind of comes down to looks. If you like it for looks, you can pick any of these. But if you want the upper hand, the best subspecies, in my opinion, is the Batar with the plus 3% attack damage. Going over to our abilities, we got the head slot. You have two slots in the head, and so our very first one here is Bite, which causes high damage. This is probably one of the highest damaging bites in the game, if not the highest. And this here you get as soon as you hatch your T-Rex, you have this applied on your dino. So like you already have this ability, and it's going to be basically the bread and butter of your T-Rex all the way through its whole life, basically. So that's a must in the build. And then of course we have on our second slot we have Face Tank, which is reduce the amount of damage to your head, neck, and chest by 30%. So this is really huge when you're fighting other apexes and things like that. And the reason that we have this on here now is because mainly the only thing you're going to really be able to hunt slash fight, as far as being the aggressor, is going to be apexes like another T-Rex, an Eotrike, a Bars, Spino, things like that. Because unfortunately, with the rework to how BoneBreak works, you'll notice that these two abilities that we used to run in our old builds, they now only apply fracture, as you read there. This is a low amount of fracture with small damage. And then this one here is a huge charge up bite. With the longer it's held, the more fracture it inflicts. And it says right here, this attack will trigger a bone break if it hits an opponent with a high amount of fracture. So you have to have an opponent that already has fracture on it for this to trigger a full-on bone break. Now, I believe myself on the bone break changes that they're kind of a good thing, myself a little bit, and I'll explain why really quickly here because one of the things that they've done that I think has been a good thing for bone break is they've allowed it so that when a dinosaur does get bone broken, they now have a immunity stage after they get out of bone break to where they can't get bone broken again. And that means it used to be before like you're instant dead if you get a bone break applied to you. Now that doesn't mean that, and I think that's actually kind of a good thing for the game. However, what I don't agree with all these different bone break changes and the fracture changes is that the T-Rex has suffered probably the most. And the T-Rex, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic dinos or dinosaurs in this franchise and in other franchises. And when it just comes to fossils and all that stuff that we dig up, T-Rex is just an iconic dinosaur. It's a favorite of many. It's one of my it is my favorite dino. Um, but with the ability for it not to be able to hunt is just kind of silly to me. When it applies like a bite like this, like crushing bite or bone snap, it should bone snap. You should get a bone break happen when you land one of these attacks, in my opinion, because the Rex is so slow. It makes it so hard to hit a smaller target to start with a bone break. You have to really have your timing down to land a bone break to start with. And now that you have these changes that they've made, you land a bone break now and you don't even slow them down hardly at all. Like you're not even going to get another bite in. You're still on cooldown on your bites. You're not going to be able to send another, bone break their way or excuse me, another fracture attack their way. And even if you charge this one all the way up with a Sanguis Rex subspecies, you're only getting an 88% fracture damage on them, which allows them to still run away from you so that you can't hit another bone break. So basically, if you're going to try to bone break anything now in the game, you need to have another person with you that can also apply bone break, or sorry, excuse me, apply fracture to be able to get the bone break. But on top of that, you only have an 8-second window if you do achieve the bone break in order to get them killed, and after the 8 seconds they go on cooldown, right, where they're immunity, they have immunity to getting bone broke again. So in my opinion, this really just does not favor the Rex at all. I think the Rex needs to have an ability where it can land a bite and it does bone break for only 8 seconds, and then the dino should be immune to another bone break after that. But I think that the T-Rex, in order for it to be able to hunt, especially in a solo situation, should be able to land one of these and actually get a actual bone break instead of just applying fracture. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that, because it's, I think, a little bit of a controversial thing right now. But that's how it kind of works. And to me right now, especially as a solo player, even if I was in a group, these don't really are, they're not really useful, these two abilities anymore, unfortunately. So anyway, I don't want to get stuck on that too long, but that's the head slots. And moving over to the senses, we have here Lone Hunter, which of course you're going to take it because there's no other option. You have Lone Hunter and that's it. So you might as well grab it, and this is going to help you because if you're a solo player like me, you get the 10% increased attack damage when not in a group. And if I don't know, your teammate dies or whatever in combat and you're still, like half HP or whatever, and you still have to fight, this is going to give you that increased attack damage when your group member dies. So this is going to come in handy then too. So it's always something to have on, always a must. This is interesting too now because we can't solo hunt anymore other than just another Apex. You can't really hunt smaller dinos or anything like that, and critters don't really like fill you up if you're, really hungry. If you're below like half your hunger, you can't eat enough critters to really make a difference. Like, you'd have to eat so many critters just to be able to get your food to come back up. So hyper carnivore, I still run it, but when my food starts to get low, sometimes if there's nobody around to fight, I go over to home cave and switch it to scavenger. And for scavenger, you have to know where the decomposing bodies are in basically around the map in order to get your food up. But if you know the map really well, you can run scavenger and they'll help you kind of sustain. Or if you're going to quest and try to go for marks and be a little bit more of a peaceful Rex and not a aggressive attacking Rex, scavenger is going to be the one you want to pick for you. Hypercarnivore only allows you to eat fresh meat, so this is just critters, which again, they don't really sustain a full-grown Rex. You could probably do it when you're younger, juvie Rex or adolescent Rex, but the moment you get kind of bigger, you really need to start getting kills, and with no bone breaker CC, like, it's really, really hard to catch your prey and hunt prey at that point. So I kind of flip between these now, so that's going to be really your preference on what you pick. When it comes to hide, I still go with slick scales over top of resilient scales because I really just think that the bucking and struggling mechanic is way better, way more beneficial. So this basically just, if a raptor jumps on you, you can get them shaken off, 30% faster. And also drains their stamina, which will set you up for a stomp and hopefully try to get a kill or, potentially a bite on them, yada yada. So that's what we do. Slick scales is in my opinion the best hide you can run. Over to the legs, we have Stomp, which is a high damaging area of effect attack, but it does lock you in place when you use it, so you have to be mindful of when you use this attack. But this is super, super, super useful for defending yourself against like mid tiers and small tier dinos. Now, I will just mention this because things have changed, and with no bone break, this has kind of come into play a little bit. So strong legs, you take 60% less knockback and 15% increased fracture healing. We're not worried about the 15% increased fracture healing, but the 60% less knockback is kind of interesting because what they've done is they've made it so that every tail attack has knockback on it now. So you have strong legs on, you take 60% less knockback. This allows you to basically tail ride and chase down an opponent that's trying to, tail whack to defend itself. You now can kind of recover a little bit faster. But I find myself that when you do try to use this, it does kind of like almost glitch you when they hit you with the tail. It almost stops your momentum a little bit, and I don't like that. Even though you take 60% less knockback, so you don't get knocked back as far, it kind of hinders your movement forward. So that's why I stick with Stomp, just because it's so hard to chase stuff down on a T-Rex. But that's a little, it's just worth noting, I guess, the strong legs. Moving over to the tail, this is the only ability we could put in the tail slot. This here doesn't do very much damage now. I think it got reduced down to 5 damage, I believe. I'm not really sure on the damage numbers, but they nerfed the amount of damage that tail attacks do. But they do cause the knockback. And honestly, that being said, it actually gives you a little bit more room to play defensively and a little bit more skill that you can use to defend yourself. So it's kind of interesting. I like that. You could also, as a T-Rex, knock things off cliffs now with your tail. So pretty cool. I kind of like the change to that a little bit, although I think it really ruined the bars. The bars is, I don't know if it ruined it, but it made it harder to play bars. So, you know, RIP the bars a little bit. But we run tail attack because it's the only thing you can run, and it's useful. And then, of course, last but not least, the voice slot. We have Deep Rumble, which decreases your incoming damage by 20% for 30 seconds. This is just a huge armor buff, basically, to where you can take a lot of damage, take a beating, and this allows you to go in for the kills on apexes and things like that. Or if you're getting jumped by, you know, big groups and things like that, and they don't pay heed to the Deep Rumble, this will allow you to kind of be aggressive and try to get the kill. Tyrant's Roar is really good if you're in a group and you have one Rex running Deep Rumble, the other Rex running Tyrant's Roar, or vice versa. Or if you have a DASP or something like that, you can kind of coordinate Tyrant's Roar with your other group members, which, you know, it has to be a Tyrannosaur in your group, which, you know, you only run, I think, what is it, the DASP and the Aeolramus that have the Tyrannosaurus family tree. So, as it reads here, you increase the damage of all Tyrannosaurs in your group by 10% within 30 meters for 80 seconds, and able to stack up 3 times. So this is pretty big. You can only use it when you're in a group, but it's pretty big if you're going to do some group play with your T-Rex. So that's all the abilities, and this is the build. I appreciate you guys watching all the videos and checking out all the channel and all the videos on there. I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much for watching, and again, let me know what you guys think of the new Fracture and BoneBreak changes in the game, and let me know what you think of the Rex. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.